Hey everybody, James here with the Coates Classic Cars and the Coates Classic Cars Car Barn here in our Birmingham collection. So one of the questions we get all the time is, where do you keep your cars? Well, I've always found that kind of an odd question, but because we're bringing the cars to you, but this is one of 6 places in Birmingham that we store our vintage car fleet, and then plus of course we have collections that we utilize in Huntsville, Jackson, Mississippi, and Western Carolinas. But this particular joint is where we keep most of our project cars that's undergoing restoration and maintenance and that sort of thing, and we have some of our special event cars here as well. I get a lot of questions when brides and grooms get in the back of the car about, hey, what do you do? How do you maintain your cars? Do you have a restoration shop? Do you use a shop? How do you handle that sort of thing? It's like, well, we started in business 22 years ago as a restoration shop and did weddings on the side. And about 16 years ago, that turned around the other direction. So we now do weddings and events, but we still have the equipment and facilities to support our own fleet and so forth. So I get a lot of questions about that, and also we have a number of folks that follow our page that are car enthusiasts. And sometimes they have technical questions like, hey, we know you have a 52 Buick, for instance, and we're having this sort of problem. Can you show us your car and shed some light on how we can fix this? So I don't want to get too technical with these videos, but we'll get into that. If you have a specific question, shoot it to us, and we'll try to cover it in one of our live videos. This is something we want to try to do weekly. As we can. I'm not always in town, so I can't do it every single week, but we'll try to do these. I know it's Friday today. Hope you guys are having a great Friday, but we'll try to do these on Thursdays at 2 p.m. So 2 p.m. on Thursdays, we'll try to do a behind-the-scenes shop walk. So this video is not specifically about COVID, but I would be remiss if I didn't touch on that. Our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers certainly go out to those that are fighting the disease and those that have lost loved ones, and our sincere thanks from me, from Coates Classic Cars, and from the whole Historic Endeavors family of companies. I'm repping Oak Hill Farm today, which is our sister company. Those of you that are on the front lines, medical professionals, postal workers, couriers, grocery store employees, we will get through this, and when we do get through this, it will be because of you guys. So we're with you with that. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being on the front lines. Brides and grooms, if you had a wedding scheduled and have had to reschedule, I certainly, empathize with that. I know you've spent so much time trying to get things ready and preparing for the big day. I mean, wedding planning goes on normally for a year or more, or at least the better part of a year. And all of a sudden you're having to change your plans all at once, and we certainly feel for you there. But we have done a number of reschedules. Almost all of our clients for the next several weeks have rescheduled to a date either this summer or fall, or a few going into 2021. I get a lot of questions because we do a lot of events, weddings and events here at Coates Classic Cars. We do a lot more than a typical wedding vendor, and we do them all over the Southeast. Like I said, we have collections in Alabama, Mississippi, and the Carolinas. I feel like we have a pretty good cross-section of the market. And I also am privileged to serve as president of our state wedding and event association here in Alabama called ALWEP, A-L-W-E-P. Check that out online sometime, alabamaweddingpros.com. And just from talking to some of our members through that, what we're seeing is folks through April pretty much have universally rescheduled. And I can't really give you a hard and firm date because none of us really know what's going to happen here as far as when we might be out from under quarantine and that sort of thing. But my gut feeling is if you have an April date, it's time to reschedule. If you have a May date, I think if I were you, I might, wait a couple of weeks and see how things play out. But definitely if you have a date through April, and if you've not rescheduled, I want to encourage you to try to go ahead and get that done, because a lot of other folks are rescheduling, and there's only so many days in the year that you can get married. So what's going to happen this year is our calendar is going to compress, and there's only so many Saturdays in particular. So brides, grooms, and I would encourage you, if you have to reschedule a date, think about doing a Friday or a Sunday wedding. Some of the prettiest weddings that we've ever done in the 20 years that I've been doing this have been Sunday afternoon weddings and even weekday weddings. So think about that. So 2 things. One, if you haven't rescheduled, those dates are going fast for a lot of vendors, so think about that. I know you don't want to reschedule unless you have to, but you also don't want your potential new date to get away so that you can. Secondly, if you have a day from the first Saturday in June through about December the 12th that you're planning to get married, and I'm not talking about folks that are rescheduling, but just folks that are getting married, and your wedding, normal wedding date according to plan is between June and December of this year, it's time to be calling. We booked 3 weddings this week for folks in September, October, and November. We've booked several reschedules for June, July, and August, and early September, and some into 2021. So most of our events book anywhere from 6 months to a year in advance, because keep in mind, we only have one Catherine, one Caroline, one Jack, that sort of thing. And we can get you a car on short notice, but it might not be the one you want. So keep in mind that, our Saturdays are going quickly, not just because of that's just the way things are around here, but also because all of our spring brides and grooms are having to move their dates. So Saturdays through the rest of 2020 are going to be at a real premium. So enough about that. I know you guys didn't tune in to hear about COVID, and I'm certainly not a medical professional, so I don't want to go down that road too far. I want to show you, I'll turn this around. I want to show you a little bit about what's going on here in the shop. So as I said, this is one of 6 places here in Birmingham that we keep cars, and this is where we keep most of our project cars, things that we're working on, that sort of thing, doing maintenance. I'll run over and show you a little bit of what's here. Not everything is here, of course. Here with Anil. Anil, say hey. So Anil's actually my roommate. He helps out here in the shop. So we have, we're not letting, I encourage folks during all this, stay at home. Obviously we're not home, but this is literally just right down the street from my house. Anil and I are roommates, so we live together anyway. We come out here together. We do not pass go. We do not collect $200 as if there were $200 to collect. And we are isolating, and we're not allowing any of our other guys to come out. So I encourage you to do the same. The virus does not move on its own. It's moved by people, and we know that, and you should know that. And, if I'm going anywhere, it's between here and the house. I think I've got a month's worth of groceries at home, thank God. So real quick, what's going on here? I'm going to show some more specific projects when we do this next Thursday. But I'll show you a little bit about what's here. Caroline, the 59 Jag, is here. Week after next, we're going to get into doing her annual inspection. So I'll show you a little bit about that. Part of what goes on behind the scenes around here is weekly we have a 25 item checklist that we have to go through that says, hey, this car is ready to go. So we try to go through that on Monday, so that if something's wrong, we find it on the way to the gas station on Monday and not on the way to your wedding on Saturday. And that is one of the things that makes us a little different from the folks who do this part-time as a weekend business or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we do find things wrong from time to time on the way to the gas station on Monday. And when we do, 9 times out of the 10, we're able to fix it. And we don't even have to let our client know about it on Saturday, because they're never going to know about it because we caught it a week in advance. So we do that every week. And then once a year, we go through, we have a just started on this one, but 3-page checklist that we go through every year that we go over all the systems of the car. And then we have a 4-page checklist that we go through for the city of Birmingham for our licensing. So that's 2 things that we do on a yearly basis. That's normally something that we do in the fall. About November is kind of downtime for us. But since a lot of our spring weddings obviously have had to get rescheduled with the COVID crisis, we're going to bump that up. And Caroline's actually going to come in next week. And actually Jack and one of our white Rolls Royces come in next week. We'll do those. And then this one and a couple others we'll do the week after. So Caroline, the 59 Jag, is here. A lot of you guys have seen this car. One of the cool things about it, I think, is the red leather interior. This has been a really, really popular car for us. It's actually our most requested car. And we've had it since 2008. I actually bought it from the son of the original owner in Austin, Texas. Took us about a year to put it back together. And it's been consistently our most requested car ever since. Checker is here. We actually have Two of these in the collection that we can use. They're basically identical, except one has red interior and one has tan interior. I'm sorry, gray interior. But they're both the yellow with the checkerboard pattern and all that. This is really cool. We have brides and grooms and couples that's, they have a New York history, or you want that kind of vibe, or old Hollywood or whatever. And we've done a lot of weddings and events, as well as a bunch of photo shoots with this thing. It's really neat. They made these things for years and years. It's hard to find a nice one because they were all in taxi service and they all got beat up. But the two that we have are survivors, and they're actually really well preserved. 29 Hudson is here, Eleanor. So this is a car that we really started doing wedding and events with back in 2003, 4, 5, somewhere around there. It was in service for about 5 or 6 years. Some of you may remember this, that are veterans in the wedding community here in Birmingham. I retired it about 10 years ago to do an engine rebuild. We're detailing the frame, putting a new wiring harness in it. Got the fenders off, got to do some paint work on those while they're off. This one's going to come out of retirement. So like I said earlier, we're going to have a really, we're expecting quite a rush for our fall wedding dates in particular, because of our normal fall business plus a lot of our spring couples that are having to reschedule. So we're trying to get some of these projects finished up, and so we'll have as many things as possible to cover that demand. Jack is here, 52 Buick. Bought this car in 2011 at the world's largest car show in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Drove it 900 miles home. It's completely original, including the paint. This, as well as one of our white Rolls Royces, we're going to start doing our annual maintenance on next week, and I'll show you guys that in more specific detail next week when we have the white Rolls Royce here and we have this one up on jacks and we see what it needs. This is Lucille. Lucille's a 51 Cadillac, so we actually bought this off the side of the road in Childersburg, Alabama, on the way to a wedding. And we brought it here because I've always liked these. We actually used to have a 50s Cadillac in our fleet that belonged to a partner, and that was several years ago, and I've kind of wanted another one, and it's going to come online. So one of the reasons we bought this car is because it was white. Well, we got it home and we ran the numbers on it, and we realized that the original color combination is actually my favorite 50s Cadillac color combination. It's what's called Corinth Blue, which is this light. I'm not sure if it's coming through on my phone accurately or not, but it's the light blue, kind of a grayish blue with actually a navy blue roof. So guys, when I found that, it's like, okay, well, we've got half a dozen white cars. It's time for something blue. See what I did there? Okay, yeah, anyway, never mind. So we have another white Rolls Royce here. We got 3 of these now, and this will be another one. This is actually a really nice car. So the interior in this is... Sorry about that, wireless cut out. Anyway, so this will be another white Rolls Royce in our fleet. And like I said, the interior is actually really nice in this car. The leather's nice. The wood is nice. It's got a really good engine and transmission. It runs really well, but the body's really rough. So we're going to put new rocker panels in it and repaint it. And of course, it'll go back white, just like our others that we have. So the other one that was running around here, one in the Carolinas, and then of course Scarlet. That's over in our Jackson, Mississippi collection. Catherine's here. Catherine is actually going to be 3 weeks from now. We'll do her annual inspection. Got her on the calendar. Many of you know this car. It's our flagship car for our Birmingham collection. And they made 11 of these. It's a very rare car. This is actually number 1 of the 11. You can see it sitting here. If I can get away, you can see it sitting next to a Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud, which this is like Elizabeth, Maggie, Scarlet, those that we have. You can tell the size difference. So Catherine's quite a bit bigger car. It's a limousine, whereas these are regular sedans. It's got the divider window in the back that goes up and down. The sunroof in the back, it opens. The bride and groom can stand up through it. Pretty cool. So that's what's here. And then I also want to sneak peek this thing, if my wireless will let me get out here to it. So family member of mine had this. It's 1964 M606 Jeep, or CJ3B, whatever you want to call it. So that's a Army Jeep from, these were the early Vietnam era, and made up through the mid-70s. So this thing is OD green as God intended. We got to do the decal, so it'll say U.S. Army here, and it'll have the stars on it and all that. So it'll be a MASH Jeep when it gets done. This thing does have a rear seat. It's not in it right now. but we can use it for parades. We could use it for a wedding if you're a military family or something like that. So I want to sneak peek this. We'll show it again once I get the decals and so forth on it. This is actually my car today. This is what I'm driving, so believe it or not. Of course, like I said, it's just down the street from my house. But in any case, we got to have a name for this. So guys, come up with a name. My girlfriend's a MASH fan, so maybe some kind of MASH reference. But this is, we got to do something with a name on this. So, like I said, real quick, just wanted to run through the shop, give you a Cliff's condensed, mile wide and an inch deep overview of what's here, what's being worked on, what's going on. Come Monday morning, Neil and I are going to get underneath Jack, the 52 Buick here, and then one of our other white Rolls Royces. Of course, this is one we're restoring, but we've got some that we're already running. We're going to get it in the air. And if you guys have questions, I know there's some Buick folks that follow this page. There's also some Rolls Royce guys that follow this page. If you got a technical question, let me know about those two, and I'll try to cover it in the video next week. In the meantime, stay home. If you have a wedding through April, I highly recommend that you go ahead and reschedule it, because a lot of our rescheduled days are going away. And also, if you're not a rescheduled bride, like I said, if you're between June and mid-December of 2020, our reservations office is open. So we're not taking any reservations before April the 24th. And even if you book us for April the 24th or later, you might have to reschedule. But we're not taking any before then. But we are, as far as the restoration shop goes, Anil and I are out here. We're keeping things going so that when weddings do gear up, we're ready for you. And also, we have 2 reservations coordinators. They both work from home anyway, so they are both at home in the safety of their homes, and they are answering calls, answering emails, and they can handle your inquiries for either rescheduling dates, or if you're just a new couple looking for a wedding car, or for a TV and film car, or for photo shoot car, or whatever. Like I said, Saturdays, June through December, they're going fast because of the reschedules and because of just the normal demand. So if you got a Saturday between June and December, give us a call. If we can help you with anything between now and then, give us a call. Like I said, Thursdays at 2 o'clock, we're going to try to do these. Can't do them every week because a lot of times I go out of town, but we will definitely do next week, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, as they say. We'll have 2 cars up on jacks, and we'll do a little more specifics. So everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay home, and wash your hands.